Welcome to the BS Your Way Through Life show. I'm a little unorthodox today because the podcast that I want to record, no matter what I do, it's just not going to work out the way that I want it in my head. And I'm not going to be sitting with a nice background. It's not happening because life is way too busy during this time. It's my tax season, blah, blah, blah. It's school starts up again. It's all those things. So I just decided, you know what? Forget the aesthetics. Let's just go for it because the words that I have to say are more important than the aesthetics. So, I wanted to talk about for the new year, a new beginning, and this can apply to your entire life. It's beautiful. There was a talk recently given in conference. Uh, we have an annual conference every year, and it's beautiful because we get to hear these very inspired men and women give these beautiful talks. And one of them was about a new beginning, and it talked about how we always have a new beginning with our Savior. And this also applies to everything in your life, especially, well, especially to everything in your life, but also very much so in all your relationships. So, a new beginning can happen like with whatever you're doing. If you're trying to eat healthy, for example, and you feel like you're doing good, but then all of a sudden you're like you caved and you ate, you know, the meal that made you feel that makes you feel bloated or sets you back or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, it's all over, I'm done now, I should just give up. No, 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 no. You can have a new beginning. And I've heard this in many different from different people as well. Like the first time I heard this concept, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like I don't need to wait for the new year or for Monday to roll around to start over. I can start over within the minute that I make the mistake, within the hour, that whatever, right? Just hit the reset button, start over. It doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you've just veered off a little bit, and you can veer right back on the road. It's not the end of the world. So let's take this, and I want you to apply this to any part of your life that you need. But let's take this and let's apply it specifically to marriage right now. And again, this can apply to any part of your life. This message is for anyone out there. So especially for those who feel like they have really hit rock bottom in their entire life. Their whole life they feel has gone to just the gutter, right? You can have a new beginning right now. Life isn't over. Things aren't, it's not the end. You can have a new beginning right now. Start new right now. You're going to falter a little bit along the way again, and that's okay. That's human. That's normal. Okay. So, in relationship, in your marriages, in your family, I can't tell you how many times. So, I have this new motto. Well, it's not really new, but then I now have words for it, I should say. But love at home. I am so focused this year. And as a side note too, because this is my whole New Year's, new beginning thing. So like as also an important note, don't have goals, don't have resolutions. I mean, have goals, right? I know this sounds backwards, but like don't have resolutions and goals and like this end thing. Instead, have focuses and processes. Okay. I want you to do this. This has changed my life. I used to write down like New Year's resolution, I'm going to be this good of a dancer and be able to accomplish this by the end of the year. And then I'd read my resolutions. Some of them that were simple, I was like, I totally did that. Some of them I was like, oh, I didn't even reach that. I totally failed that. Totally failed that. And every year I would fail it. And I'm just like, I'm just failing it. So I never felt like I was good enough. I never felt like like for dancing, for instance, I never felt like I reached my dancing potential. But then it's amazing because as years went on and I kept practicing, I got way better. And then I started getting compliments, and I've had and I would dance with like professional ballroom dancers like, "Oh, do you dance professionally?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." Like, "Well, you seem like you do." And so, but then because my resolution wasn't met, then I had failed. it was a subconscious thing. And this is something that happens where it's a subconscious thing that you do yourself. You start programming yourself, you're not enough, you're not enough. So as soon as I started realizing this, and all my mentors and things that I listened to along the way, and inspiration from God, mostly inspiration from God, and whether it's coming from other people or whether it's coming, to my mind, from the spirit or whatever. But I've realized that focuses are the way to go. If I have a focus, for instance, if my focus is to be a better dancer throughout the year and I focus on that, or if my focus is to have love at home where there's less bickering, less honoriness from me or whatever, then I'm going to naturally start my, I want to call it reprogramming myself to hone in on that. Okay, if I want love at home, I'm going to act differently when my child some does A, B, C, D, F, G. I'm not going to react the old way or the regular way that I do. And it doesn't mean that I don't act that way. It's because I'm human. Again, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. But it's important that we realize, like, if we're focused on it, and at the end of the year, for instance, with dancing, if we get to the end of the year and I focused on dancing, I'm going to be like, you know what, I've gotten better this year, and I won't be looking at a paper saying you didn't accomplish this. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm not going to be feel like I failed. Instead, I'm going to be like, yeah, I totally improved, and I want to focus more on dancing the next year. You know what I mean? Like, focuses, and then that helps you realize that there's not really an end goal, or there's not really like a finish line, a race to where we're trying to get to that finish line. It's more of a, this is a process, and I'm continually in process and progression. So throughout our whole lives, we never perfect things. We just get better at it because we're always in process, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's important. Okay, so in your marriage, in your family, so in your marriage, a new beginning. Let's say that you and your husband have a habit of like having these gnarly, toxic, blow up arguments where you're calling each other names. Maybe you're, like the littlest things turn into a bicker. For instance, let's say that you're unloading the dishwasher together or something. I'm gonna use regular things. You're unloading the dishwasher together, whatever, and your spouse makes the comment of like, no, don't do it that way, and then you spout off and you get offended, and they're like, well, you know what, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden you're in this like, well, you this, and then all these past things come up, and just like, well, that one time and such and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, if you get to that point, you realize, how do I come back from this? Like, you're going to bed, maybe he's on the couch, hopefully not, hopefully you don't do the couch thing, um or you're just, in bed, backs turned to each other, and you're both lying there, stewing because you're trying to fall asleep, you can't sleep because you're so mad or whatever it is. Like, you don't, you can, oh, I'll get my words together. You have to excuse me. I've got my brain, it shuts off mid sentence. So please excuse my brain. Um, you can have a new beginning right then and there. In fact, a friend of mine, when she was going through this, her and her husband were constantly having like these, their arguments would turn so toxic. And I'm like, you know what you need a reset button. And every couple who has these issues, you can come back from this. I promise. You can have a new beginning. Okay. You can have a reset button. You could even say, you know what, we need a reset button. And you literally take out an imaginary reset button and say, reset. Let's start over. Let's start communicating a little better with each other and start working on it. Let's be adults about this. Let's make sure that, okay, we're not calling each other names. We're not, We're not shouting at each other. And we're trying to understand where each other's coming from. We're trying to be understood, yes, but you have to also try to understand and hear them. Clarify, clarify, clarify. So again, within your marriages, you can have a new beginning. And with that, you can also allow your partner to have a new beginning. They screw up, they do something, they hurt you bad. And if they're truly sorry and repentant or whatever, give them their new beginning, right? I mean, I can't speak to you can use this for any circumstance. And there may be circumstances where it's like, no, this is not, there's certain situations where it's like, okay, this they can have a new beginning, but they can have it on their own. If you're married to someone who's abusive and they're obviously not going to be sorry or repentant or anything like that, then you need to get out of that abusive situation, right? But for someone who's generally trying, generally a good person, and we're all so human and so flawed, and they are really trying, we need to try to give each other a new beginning. Like we're not gonna be like, well, you get no new beginnings because you don't know how to meet my expectations. You know what I mean? So like, and realizing what realistic expectations are and what's not, right? So like the dishes, or how they tell you how to load the dishwasher, or how you don't like how they load the dishwasher, those aren't deal breakers. Their habits of like slamming cupboards, or they're a little loud or whatever, those aren't deal breakers either. Those are things that we need to learn. That's when tolerance comes in. Tolerance is a beautiful thing in marriage, and we can, on another podcast, we can talk about tolerance. But for now, we want to focus on the new beginnings. So allow each other for new beginnings. And also don't forget, one of the most important parts, when you allow someone a new beginning, that's also what comes with that is forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of whoever hurt you, right? New beginning. Whatever has happened in your life, whatever trauma you've had, whatever it is, you can hit the new beginning button. I can begin again today. I can start over again today. There is no end to new beginnings, ever. There's no end to it. The Savior's atonement reaches every corner and mistake of your life. You can have a new beginning today. You have not failed yet unless you've stopped trying and you've stopped trying to do the new beginnings, right? So use this in your relationships, use this in your life, your personal goals, whatever you need it for, a new beginning. You can start fresh. Start fresh right now, this very minute. If you need it right now, if you need a good night's sleep and start fresh in the morning, go for it. Anyway, there's your permission if you need it. And there's some wisdom for you. And I hope this helps and inspires anyone. And I am rooting for you. I am 100% rooting for you. You can have a happy life, happy relationship. You can have success. You've got this. New beginnings. Go.